I think that's enough time for me to say, hey, everybody, it's On the Stick After Dark. I'm Joe Drilling. That's Eric Allen.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome. And I don't. Anthony just ran when we had an email thread going today. Anthony was like, "Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins was what we should play." And one of my secret shames is that as much as I love Mario games, I've actually never played Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden
Oh,
coins. I know, wild, right? I love the commercial. It's one of my favorite classic video game commercials with which Anthony also put in the email thread. And I'm told that it's like a really solid 2D Mario game, like one of the,
very good.
you
Yeah.
know,
I
and
mean, it's like a Game Boy game, so
right,
keep your expectations in check a little bit, but
sure, but
it's definitely one of the Game Boy games that you might still want to play in 2023.
the biggest Game Boy adventure yet, according to the box art here. And I
Sure.
was originally thinking about doing. There's a Super Mario Land 2 DX fan hack, which basically makes it into a Game Boy Color game. Basically, that's exactly what it does. It makes it into a Game Boy Color game. But then I remembered that we talked about when they added Game Boy games to Switch Online, we were gonna mess around with this, and then we never did. So now we are, or I am. And also, I do have to point out, okay, before I actually start the game, I'm gonna go I'm gonna go into the Japanese version because they recently added Burger Time Deluxe, and I need everybody to see the Japanese cover art to Burger Time Deluxe because
Mhm.
it is extremely good.
Pretty sweet.
Also, if you don't know, your Switch Online membership basically goes for the whole console. So, like, if you can set up a Japanese eShop account and profile, and you can get the Japanese Switch Online stuff. But just look at that. Look at that cover art, and that's just. I think my favorite. So obviously, you're immediately drawn to this, Taylor Swift lookalike here. But I actually think my
I mean, I'm
favorite
sure
part,
that Taylor Swift was probably not born when this person took
uh,
this photograph, but
she probably was like what, like 2 or 3 years
maybe.
old. Um, but the things that then once you start like settling in here, you start to realize that one, she's holding what is very clearly a plastic hamburger, which is frightening in its own way. Then you notice that there is a Data East Corporation branded burger spike in the in the burger,
Mhm.
keeping it all together. And then probably, if you're like me, the last thing you actually notice and get weirded out by is the fact that the burger itself has like a tongue and is like licking the lettuce, like the burger, like the mouth of the burger is between
Mhm.
the cheese and the lettuce, and the burger is salivating at the prospect of, I guess,
I don't,
itself
is that supposed to be a hot dog or is that it's supposed to be a tomato?
on the very top.
Yeah.
I have always wondered that when playing Burger Time, so I'm not prepared to answer that right
In the
now.
game, I'm pretty
When
sure it's supposed to be a tomato, but that looks like a hot dog
it
to me.
does, it looks like one of those weird burger, what those like a you go to like a restaurant that has like some kind of weird eating challenge where they put a hot dog on their burger or something, or a bratwurst or whatever. So yeah, I had to show off the cover art to Burger Time Deluxe, uh, the Japanese cover art to Burger Time Deluxe because it is extremely good. Also, the only game that is currently on the Japanese Switch Online that is not on the American, I believe, is Yakuman, which is a mahjong game, and I think everything else is the same. So, also, if you have a Switch and you've never played Gargoyle's Quest or Makaimura Gaiden,
Or Wario
you
Land
should you
3,
should
more
play that.
importantly.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like more people have played Wario Land 3 than have played
Okay.
Gargoyle's Quest. That's why I
Yeah, but
take the
Wario Land
moment
3
to
is the
recommend.
best Game Boy game.
It's the best Game Boy game.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Probably.
Oh, and actually, the U.S. has Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare, which is such a wild choice to be included on this
Well,
service.
it is like a thing that people that I like when we did Game Boy games, we did like a 12-hour stream. That was one of the things we checked out because it's such a weird curio.
Right, sure, for sure,
I mean, it's not a good game,
but it's kind of impressive. But, you know. So this is Super Mario Land 2.
oh, well, actually, I take it back.
Yeah.
Tetris is the best Game Boy game.
I was gonna say, I mean, there's Tetris. So let's see. So we can save and load. There's a user guide that just tells us what the controls are. Apparently, when you're playing multiplayer, you can click in like the R3 button for applause when you're playing multiplayer, which is news to me. I've actually never messed around with the online, I don't think, at all with this stuff. I feel like Mike and I talked about doing it at one point and never actually did. So there is no
Mm-hmm.
options, it seems like, in terms of like you know, like how you want it, like filters or you know, anything
Game Boy Color stuff
like that. I'll play I'll play at least one Game Boy Color game. Well, actually, so in terms of
I
like
meant in this game.
Oh, you can't. No, there's not like Super Game Boy Color palettes or anything, or Game Boy. Well, so the Game Boy Color and the Super Game Boy Color palettes, I believe, are different. So those would not be the two same things. But no, they're not. They don't appear to be in here. Oh, I do. I like the look of going down the pipe and like watching Mario actually travel, like showing where the pipe goes. That's different. So yeah, this is
I feel like that's like Yoshi's Island was like that.
That sounds correct. I haven't played a lot of that game either, but more of it.
I mean, that
played
game
of
is all
this.
about having big like labyrinthine.
Right.
But there's a lot of pipes in there that are just like take you to a lower section of the stage. Although I don't know, could be wrong.
I assume the bell is like a checkpoint.
So yeah.
So yeah, this feels a lot more like a normal Mario game than original. Like
Super Mario
can I spin
Land.
jump? Okay. Yeah, than original Super Mario Land, which is a game that I actually do like enjoy. I like the original flavor of Mario Land, but
If you're going for the original Game Boy run and not including the Game Boy Color games, like it's pretty good when you compare it to all the other junk that was on this thing.
the Game Boy was a haven for junk, for sure.
Yeah. But it's just like a weird alternate reality Mario with all of the weird enemies, and you can fly a plane for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I thought, like, I remember thinking kind of that, like, the shoot 'em up stages were, oh wow, apparently to be pretty precise with the little claw game. Yeah, this feels a lot like we're going for Super Mario 3, you know, vibes. That's the goal here, it seems like, in a lot of ways. Yeah, I actually think that kind of the shoot 'em up stages are like sort of one of the things that actually makes Mario Land worth going back to, just because it's so weird, right?
Yeah.
It feels so out of place in a Mario game.
The weird Egyptian levels.
Yes, yes.
The fact that it brings back some of the enemies from Mario Bros.
Yeah. We played that the year that we did Extra Life here, right before the pandemic. We played that, like, I think that was also a Game Boy Color hack, right? Of like new Super Mario Land or whatever. All four of us played through it together. And it was weird. It's a weird idea that someone would be like, "Oh, I know. I'll make Mario Land 4-player New Super Mario Brothers style experience." I have to go all the way back to it. That's also the thing that is definitely noticeable about this versus Mario Land original, and even like Super Mario Brothers original, which is like this game doesn't ratchet scroll, like you can go backwards, which is kind of weird, you know, all things considered. Like, it's not usually the older Mario games wouldn't let you go backwards until, well, I guess 2 and 3 did.
This is post Mario World, right?
Is it post Mario World? Is it really?
This was 92, so
Wow.
yeah. I mean, the weird thing about the Game Boy, right, is that the time scale is super warped because that thing was just especially if you factor in Game Boy Color games, that thing was just around forever. Like Wario Land 3 came out in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lose the Fire Flower because I got the mushroom? That's bogus. I don't like that at all. Oh, okay, there's goo in here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this before on, you know, on some level, but like the way Nintendo treats their legacy properties is kind of befuddling, and like this, like, I get that I'm paying like what am I paying? Like $30 a year, if that, for this service. So, like, I guess they don't feel the need to go above and beyond, but like, yeah, like it is weird that there aren't, you know, Super Game Boy color palettes or Game Boy Color palettes for these games, or like any kind of display options to speak of really at all, right? Like, I can't do like on Mister, you know, I can do like that dot matrix effect that actually makes it look like a Game Boy, you know. And I think even the Konami, I guess I can actually just open that up and check before we're done. But like the Konami, if I remember correctly, the Konami Contra and Castlevania collections had like a filter that let you do that as well, right? That made it let you put like the cross hatching basically on there to make it look like a Game Boy. And it's just weird to me that there is like literally nothing. Like, it's just like, no, you're gonna play this game exactly the way we want you to, with this weird ugly dotted border, which I also hate. Like, when I'm playing a game, like an old game on a widescreen setup and it's emulated on something, like I usually put, like, I like to have, you know, the flyer art or whatever the thing is, right? Like, I think that stuff is cool, but this border that they chose with the dots, like, I just do not like that. So
fucking dots, you know.
Yeah, right. How much of that rant were you here for, Mike?
Just the part about how you hate dots.
Oh, okay. Well, I was talking about how on, as you well know, on Mister and stuff, there's so many options for displaying these games where you can make it look like actually look like you're playing it on a Game Boy, or, you know, whatever. And it's weird.
Dot matrix display, shadow masking.
Yeah, right. And it's so weird that Nintendo just refuses to give us that option in the official, you know, re-release of these.
I'm willing to
because
bet
they know they can do whatever they want and people will buy their bullshit. So they put in the bare minimum effort for most things, and
they're also just like a weird, isolated company that just always does things their own way. I don't even know if they're like aware that people on the Mister are doing shadow masks to make like really faithful reproductions of CRT kind of grills, you know?
I mean, sure. The other thing that I mentioned, and I'm probably going to check this before, just to look at just to compare and contrast, right, with what third parties have done. But like, doesn't the Konami and Castlevania collections, if I remember correctly, both do have like a variety of options, including stuff that adds that kind of shadow mask that makes it look like a dot matrix screen and everything. And like,
Neither of those companies are called Nintendo.
well, right, but the idea that Nintendo would be unaware of that strikes me as more unlikely than them not being aware of like the Mister project, right? Like that. Sure, they're
I mean, I'm
either
sure that
unaware
there's
or
somebody at
unconcerned.
Nintendo who's saying, "Hey, this would be cool if we did this. Can I have a small amount of money and a small team?" And they're like, "Nah, it's not."
They're getting sent to work in a filing closet for the next 25 years of their career.
Right.
You're banished. How dare you suggest that we aren't doing the best thing?
Doing things the way other people do them is not what Nintendo does, and sometimes that sucks, and sometimes it gives you amazing outcomes. So, you know, I try to make my peace with it, even though occasionally it's maddening.
It's just the thing. I mean, we've talked about this a million times. We talked about it during our Game of the Year stuff when we talked about, you know, the Atari 50 collection. But like, Nintendo just has such a rich history, and bees can't be hit by fireballs apparently. It like the fact that they
like
sort
Halo.
of seem to not right exactly. The fact that they seem to just kind of not really give a shit like about their own history in terms of like I don't know. I mean, like the NES and the SNES Classic were pretty cool. Like people, you know, complained about how the number of games, but putting Star Fox 2 on there was cool, and those had like a couple, like some display options and some, like there was some stuff going on there at least that, you know, felt like, I think didn't they have manual scans? Like I don't have either of those devices.
I don't think there were manual scans. But even if that stuff was cool, they didn't make it possible for people to buy them, right? Like, it's this weird thing where, like, we're going to make this beautiful, wonderful thing, and then, like, 30% of the people who want it will be able to get it.
Yeah, that's...
You know, they still haven't put Mario Galaxy 2 on the Switch.
Yeah.
Been waiting for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, then that's some grade A weird shit. Because everybody wants that. Oh shit.
You just can't expect them to do anything that makes sense, because they just do whatever the hell, I don't know. And sometimes that's amazing. You know, sometimes that's just exactly what I want, and I didn't know that I wanted it. And other times, just like, God damn it, just do the thing that makes sense.
Right.
I can't wait to see what the Switch 2 is. I'm sure the Switch 2 is going to be like 50% amazing and revolutionary, and 50% just garbage, bad decisions.
Why do I still need a cryptologic technician to decode my friend code so I can play online with people that I know? You know, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't there built-in voice chat? Like, why do I have to get on Discord on my computer to talk to people I'm playing games with on the Switch 2 or the Super Switch or whatever they end up, you know, calling it? Yeah, it's just, yeah, those kinds of decisions are sort of endlessly infuriating.
Oh, I forgot that game had a spin jump. I knew it was like Mario World adjacent, but
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that, about how the Game Boy kind of
This came out
distorts.
2 years after Mario World, so
Yeah. It's like a time
I mean, I had this
distortion
game.
field around the Game Boy.
I had this game way back when I had an original Game Boy, which I believe was eventually just kind of like abducted by my best friend's parents because they wanted to play head-to-head Tetris.
Your best friend's parents abducted your Game Boy?
Well, more or less. I think it was one of those situations where at some point they wanted, like, they asked to borrow it, or I left it at his place, and they were having more fun with it than I was, and I eventually just kind of let them have it. I only had a couple of Game Boy cards at the time. Like, I had this, I had Tetris, I don't even remember what else I had. Not much.
that's better than my collection of Game Boy games.
Which was?
Tetris, Double Dragon 2.
The Port of Double Dragon 2 any good?
Double Dragon
Yeah,
2
it's alright.
is a weird.
It's okay.
It's a weird.
Okay.
It is okay.
Mortal Kombat.
Double Dragon
kinda.
2. So I've done a video
The
about.
Mortal Kombat port counts as maybe a negative
Yeah,
game.
that's a negative. Double Dragon 2 on the Game Boy is actually a Kunio game reskinned. It's actually not a port of NES Double Dragon 2. And it uses the cover art from NES Double Dragon 3 for some reason. Because it was the most recent one, I guess. Probably, but
They had it lying around.
yeah, it was available.
Although why you'd want to remind people of Double Dragon 3 is beyond me.
Yeah, I don't know. But my opinion is that, yeah, the port of Double Dragon 2 is fine, but it's really easy. Like, there's kind of a very easy, attack loop that you can kind of use on basically everyone, including the bosses, and
Right.
so it becomes really easy to just kind of, 1cc it, because you just, do the uppercut and then do the knee smash, and then, that's it. You win.
Good knee smash.
It is a good knee
Actually,
smash.
I don't know how the Game Boy one is.
You do it on a downed opponent, so you leap into the air
Oh.
and drive a knee into the gut.
All right, so
Okay.
probably not as satisfying as the one on the NES, which is one of the best attacks on that console.
Oh, the jumping knee, the knee lift thing. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's one of the
Catapults
Yes.
dudes like
yes,
7 screens.
yes, yeah. No, that is
Double
unimpeachable.
Dragon 2. Great. Across
It's
the
a
board.
good enough attack to justify that entire game basically on its lonesome. The fact that you get the cool spin kick in there is just gravy.
And then you get to level 6 where you have to jump, and then the game
Yes.
is unbeatable.
And then
Simply.
Doesn't matter. The first half hour is great.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is. The
actually,
the first 2/3 of that game are really fun.
the Japanese version lets you just continue, so
Yeah.
you,
That would help a bit.
it helps.
It
helps
doesn't make
a
you not have to
lot.
play that section.
No, it doesn't, but it makes that section less punitive, because if you do lose all your lives, you can just
Try again.
go try again.
So what do you think is weirder, Joe? Super Mario Land, which is just this totally unique game, or this game, which is somewhere in between that game and a mainline Mario game?
I think Mario Land is weirder. We were talking a little bit about this before you got here. I think Mario Land is weirder.
The Mario game that has
it has shooter levels, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is part of what I like.
True.
That's I think maybe the coolest thing about it, as I was saying to Eric earlier. But okay, that was clutch. Yeah, I think that that's kind of the most interesting thing about it. But it's like Mario. What I just can't talk and play video games apparently anymore.
It's Mario Life Force.
Yeah, but it's also really
Mario-
short, and it doesn't really feel like a Mario game in a lot of important ways. And the bouncing ball thing, I actually kind of like it, but it's again weird that instead of a fireball, you throw a super ball at bad guys, and it bounces around the screen.
Hey, those things hurt.
Fair enough.
I know, a better question might be what's weirder, Mario Land or Mario 2?
Mario 2 is
for me
better for
just
sure.
part of the canon.
But in
know, I would-
hindsight, it is quite weird, right? Mario.
Sure. It is weird, but it's just, I don't know. It's so good. It's been around for so long. It was the second Super Mario Bros. Game, right?
Right.
We didn't know back then.
Right.
Every game series in the first 3 years of the NES took this weird left turn in the second installment. That's just how it was. Castlevania 2, Zelda 2, Mario 2.
Yeah, but Castlevania 2 has all the stuff that Castlevania has in it. It's just presented.
It's just worse.
Right. Well, the way the levels are designed and stuff. But
It also has lying.
Does have
it
lying.
does have that. Whereas the original game has basically no text whatsoever.
Yeah, right. Okay, so these ears don't make it... I can't actually fly with the bunny ears. I can just sort of...
You can float, right? You can slow your
hover
fall.
down, yeah.
Oh, if you get P speed, can you take off?
I mean, I don't have a P meter, so I don't know if I can get P speed. Oh, actually, Mike, that reminds me, I never asked you, did you see, was it Cosmic who did an April Fool's video about cheating at Mario speedruns?
I don't think I saw that. I know Cosmic is, but I don't think I saw that.
It was really funny. He was talking about how clearly he himself is cheating at Mario speedruns.
You've been splicing?
No, I mean, you should just watch it. I think it was Cosmic. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, he's kind of like the most prolific video maker / SMB1 speedrunner. I don't know who's got the world record right now, but I know one of the big runners is a keyboard player.
I did that shit in, like, high school.
I know, me too.
College, and it was miserable. I hate it. I mean, I did it because I wanted to play all these NES games I'd never played before, and I didn't have a gamepad, but... Barf. Like,
I did it, and it was fine. Left, right, run, jump. You know, it's not that hard.
True. But also now, like, you're used, like, when you use a controller, your left hand is doing D-pad things, and your right hand is doing button things, and on a keyboard, now your right hand is doing arrow things, and your left hand is doing, like, ZX is A, B, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it is kind of amazing that it took PC gamers so long to figure out that they could use left side keyboard buttons for movement.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't, like, really... Well, a lot of the early, like, FPSs, too, like, didn't demand, you know, like a 360 no-scope kind of approach, right? Like, playing Doom with the keyboard was, like, not the worst experience in the world. And
Well,
actually,
fine,
even
but
now,
way
like,
too
playing
worse,
Doom
right?
with a mouse feels weird to me.
The best way to play Doom today, I think, is with like a 360 controller.
Yeah, gamepad is, which is weird. Because I never thought to play it with a gamepad back in the day, even when I had like a Gravis pad. I was never like, oh, I'm gonna play Doom with this.
Well, no, but you want the analog like moving and turning,
Yeah, I
and
guess.
the Gravis didn't have those.
True.
I was thinking about
But
my
neither did
Gravis
my
the other
keyboard.
day. No, this is true. I was thinking about my Gravises, I should say, because I had the original gamepad, which was like, it was a 4-button controller, but literally 4 buttons.
Yes,
It didn't have
no
a start or
shoulders.
select.
Hey, no start,
And then I
select,
had
no shoulder
whatever-
buttons.
Right. It was so basically it was like an NES pad with the buttons in different places. And then I had whatever, I think it was the Advanced pad, the Gravis Advanced, and that one was like a PlayStation 1 controller pre-DualShock, but still no start and select buttons. That's the one that I wound up using for a couple of PC ports of PlayStation games, and it worked pretty well, all things considered. Plugged into my sound card,
Like you do.
like you do.
That's
What
Well,
we still
yeah,
do
yeah,
to this day. Yeah. We all plug our controllers into our
Into our
sound cards,
sound
which we
cards.
definitely have.
I saw on Twitter Rob Zachney showing a rebuild of one of his computers, and it had a sound card in it, and I'm like, what? Why is there a Sound Blaster in there?
I have
Do
a
it.
sound card. It's not in my PC, but I do have one.
When was the last time it was in one of your PCs?
Well, I bought it because my dog ruined the jack on the back of my computer, so it was
Oh.
it wasn't actually that long ago.
Technically speaking, I'm using a sound card to speak to you right now, but it's external. They call it an audio interface to be fancy, but it's just a USB sound card, really.
Hey, it's Alex.
Hey, Alex, how's your sound card?
Yeah,
What IRQ have you got it set up on?
Exactly. Yep.
Is it iMuse compatible?
Oh, are some graphics cards not iMuse compatible?
Well, sound cards.
The sound cards? No, but
Yeah,
like,
you had to have a sound
iMuse-
blaster that was like a certain, you know, version or vintage or whatever. Otherwise, it would, like, the iMuse stuff didn't work right.
Oh, I thought it was just outputting MIDI.
No, I mean, I definitely remember having to, like, configure it on stuff like Full Throttle. Like, you'd have to run, like, the iMuse configuration tool, and it was, like, I mean, I guess maybe it did work on everything, but you had to, you know, you had to
Thinking of
configure
iMuse
it.
as being like the contextual music that would change in
Right.
those games,
Yeah,
like
yes.
as you wander around whatever that town was in Monkey Island 2, and it would add and subtract instruments,
Right.
which I thought was just like that was internal to the software of whatever the Scum games were running on.
No, I think
thought
there
that
was a
was
little
what
more
iMuse
to
was.
it. I think there's a little more to it than that. I mean, I know that like even modern, like they can't emulate it properly on modern. There must be more to it because there was a problem with it in the Monkey Island re-release for PS3 and 360. The iMuse stuff didn't work. It would just crossfade.
Wasn't that because they made the music kind of like live orchestrated music?
No, but you could still
You're gonna
you
make
could
me
play with
fire
the
up some
original.
VM now.
You could play with the original graphics and the original music, and the iMuse stuff just didn't work. If you played with,
All right, Joe. No.
busting
Now
out
we
Scum
got
VM.
Yeah, Monkey Island 2 here. I hope my MT32 patch still works.
How much of that stuff works on the like the whatever? What's the like Windows 3.1 core for Mister?
I mean, I think basically all of it, right? That's why the MT32 Pi is a thing. Like, you can build yourself a little MT32 out of Raspberry Pi. If you can fucking find a Raspberry Pi, good luck with that. And then you stick a hat on it and plug it into your Mister. Dude, have you tried to buy a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, you just get some like raspberries and some flour, and some sugar,
Yeah. And you go on eBay where they're selling slices of pie.
right? For like $500.
Well, not 500.
I assume that's just like a parts shortage thing, right? Like everything these days, supply chain.
Yeah,
parts
I don't know why
shortage.
they're not making enough of them, but they don't have enough of them. Oh god, that sounds so good.
Our Force Geo in the chat says, I really wish Virtual Wario Land would get a re-release because I don't want a virtual one. Which, what I would say to that is, no one on Earth wants a virtual
No one wanted one then. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
kind of want a Virtual Boy.
Are they
man,
expensive?
my friend had
Yeah,
one
they're
back when
expensive.
it was...
No, they're awful, but that's, you know, like if there was a time when it wasn't Toys R Us, it was like KB Toys, I think. There was one of those in Batavia that went out of business, and they had Virtual Boys, and for like $40, and the games were like $5.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like 17 at the time, so I didn't have very much money. But if I had, I definitely would have.
I mean, and also if you knew then what you know now, right? Like, you would have bought 2 of every Virtual Boy game at $5. You know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at the time, I just didn't have it.
Man, Mario Land is good, but maybe you guys should just let me stream you guys the intro to Monkey Island 2.
$200 is what I'm saying for this.
Yeah, sex is cool, but if you played Monkey Island 2,
With the MT32.
sure, whatever that is, I agree. Absolutely. My day-to-day has just been like hanging out with nerds and then everybody talking about shit where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck anybody's talking about.
Did you miss all those streams I did last year and got really excited about the MT32 and played a bunch of old adventure games?
I remember you playing old adventure games. All those other words you said are words that as far as I know, am hearing for the first time right now. But maybe that's not true.
I do,
don't
because
know.
we played Space Quest.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Alex has always wondered what that mystery number was between 31 and 33, the one no one would ever talk about.
31 and 33. 36?
Yes.
How numbers work.
I guess you don't need a lot of math to be a nurse, huh, Alex?
No, the
It's not-
computer does it for me.
Listen, I mean, if you think about it, there's like an infinite number of numbers between
Yeah,
31
man.
and 33.
If you really think about it, dude, like, you can just keep adding decimals to that shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Jesus Christ.
What? What's the problem? No, but yeah, but I was rating at 14 earlier, and everybody there plays tabletop games. They were talking about all this tabletop
Gross.
shit, including
Nerd
specific...
alert.
Well, well, we're playing Final Fantasy 14. So,
Nerd alert!
So like, yeah. But they're talking about all this tabletop shit and like people who made the games and stuff, and I'm like, I have nothing to contribute to this at all. And that's and then I came here and you guys are like, yeah, the M32 GPU is your iMuse.
Yep.
I'm like,
You don't remember iMuse, Alex?
I don't know what it is.
It was
so,
the
no,
it was
I
the
don't.
LucasArts like audio driver thing
Okay.
that
I don't.
seamlessly changed the music when you moved from like place to place in like
That sounds cool.
adventure games.
As you know, I do not like adventure games, so if it was an adventure game thing, there is a good chance that
I mean, I think it was
just
probably
not-
also in like TIE Fighter and shit, probably.
Sure.
But
I
But
guess
I don't
so.
think I
know.
knew that. I think I knew that, oh man, TIE Fighter's sick. You know what I mean?
right.
I was like 8 when I played TIE Fighter. Maybe 9.
So like I remember Wing Commander had dynamic music, but it's not quite the same as iMuse, where they would literally like add and subtract instruments depending on where you went.
Right.
Would you say
Also-
that they do that dynamically?
I think that new Mario games need the Jason Voorhees with a knife stuck in his head like Goomba enemy. Like we need to bring that back. Why haven't we reused the Jason Voorhees with a knife stuck in his head enemy?
There's not much in this game aside from Wario really that survived the.
No, it seems like it was just near as I can tell. It seems like it was only Wario.
I mean, Waluigi's in this game too, right?
No, he didn't. No, Mario Tennis, man.
I know. Just joking. Yeah, I played the hell out of this game. I had it on old Game Boy.
Oh no, I got umbrellaed.
Was it like Star Zone or Space Zone or whatever? The music's great.
I don't know. As I said before I started, this is actually the first time I've ever played this game.
I mean, it's not good by today's standards at all.
It's not
Probably
bad.
fine.
It's totally fine. It's a
It's fine.
perfectly cromulent Mario game,
And if you could,
especially
if
for a
Nintendo
Game Boy game.
could pull their heads out of their asses and release a version that had like the Game Boy Color or Super Game Boy Color palettes.
No,
No, I know they can't do that.
that would require
Yeah.
any amount of effort.
A
which is too
modicum
much.
of effort, yes.
I don't feel like it's asking too much.
I mean, Nintendo does apparently. So
Fast though.
Hey Eric,
Hey, Eric,
I got a solution for you. If you're looking for a solution, let me open up my coat here.
called the Mr. Project.
Was it?
What are you selling, Mike?
I'm selling aluminum-clad Mr. devices.
Yeah, but those are you have to spend like $500 to get one of those now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can at least just buy the board and still do some cool stuff without getting all the other stuff.
That's true.
Did they ever remade that game?
Which one? This one?
Resident
Yeah,
Evil
but
4?
What's that game?
Recently? I'm just being a little shit. Don't worry about it. Nothing. It's fine.
Wasn't there a Game.com port?
No, that was Resident Evil 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
I own a sealed copy of that game, by the way.
Dude, break
Is
that,
that-
shit open.
Is that the
Let's go.
Wisp from Donkey Kong? Flying around?
Is what?
I said, is that like a flying version of the Wisps from Donkey Kong?
Kind of seems like it, doesn't it? What are you doing, dog? Dogs are weird. What the fuck were we just talking about? Oh, the Mr. Project.
The Wisps from Donkey Kong.
The Wisps from Donkey Kong, yes.
So I'm never gonna get a Mister. There's no way. It's not at this point.
Mike and I were talking.
The prices I've been priced out of Mister.
That's too
yeah,
bad.
I mean, it is a little too bad that the boards have gotten more expensive. It's still totally doable if you don't insist on getting the full
Yeah.
Monty.
But I mean, if you're not gonna do that, kind of like, I got a really nice PC. It's fine. I got a Steam Deck instead.
You could probably manage some pretty good emulation on your PC.
And on your Steam Deck, I've
Prob-
seen that there's a lot of
probably,
really
yeah.
cool. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff. Of,
I
like,
can.
really
I can do
cool
more on the Steam Deck than you
Steam
can
Deck,
on the Mister.
yeah.
And
emulation
PC stuff is like they're doing Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 stuff now. So
on Steam Deck.
I have an Xbox 360.
no, on PC.
Oh.
I think Steam Deck does PS2 pretty well, and like the Dolphin stuff, but I don't know if I haven't actually looked to see if they're into like Wii U or Switch things for that, or if it's just.
I've definitely seen. Yeah, I've definitely seen. I feel like Wii, but yeah, probably not.
Oh, that's that. I booted up Apex, and then I just keep hearing Mario like noises every once in a while coming through your mic, and I'm like,
That's the new character.
fucking
That's the new character that they're adding to
Mario?
Apex. Mario, yeah.
dude, I'm ready. Let's go. Mario gets like a car and goes like, woohoo!
But yeah, I was talking to Mike earlier today about how in the Retro RGB like news roundup today, Bob was talking about how good old Pork Chop Express, Mr. Add-ons, is doing an RF board.
What?
Yeah. If you want to connect your Mister to a TV with RF out, you can do that now, thanks to Pork
No,
Chop Express.
back up, Mr. Pork Chop himself. What the fuck did you say? I don't care about the thing you're talking about. I don't know what any of those words.
The guy who runs the Mr. Add-ons website goes by Pork Chop Express, like Big Trouble in Little China.
Right. I know what the pork. I have a T-shirt. With
Yeah.
the
Hey,
pork
Alex,
chop
you should
express.
watch
that
Big Trouble in
movie.
Little
It's
China.
pretty
You
good.
probably
You
will.
probably like
Watch
it.
that movie multiple times, sometimes with you guys. Oh, King Boss is here. There's no way I can lose this game. He's both the king and
The boss, yeah. But yeah, so I don't like. I mean, as I texted Mike earlier, like I don't really understand why a person would want to connect their Mister via RF, like, or why you would want to connect anything via RF. Like I assume the moment I had a TV with composite inputs, like RF was out of my life forever. Like, you know.
Get the real experience of playing an Atari game on a 50-year-old TV, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
What if you got like a sick ass like furniture TV? You know, like one of
An
the
old console TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you want to play some PlayStation on that thing? You know.
I think I'd still rather use a better TV. I don't know.
I mean, look, I'm also a person who is like, when Eric and I were first fucking around with Resident Evil 4 and realized that there are low enough resolutions that it will go into like 4:3. That I was like, oh, I should try to push this out to my CRT and like see how it looks. So.
Did you ever do that?
No,
Look it
I
up to
didn't.
your...
I didn't. I haven't.
No.
Account that does that kind of stuff all the time, isn't there? Like, or was it some article from Digital Foundry or something where they played Control on a CRT?
That was John Linneman from Digital Foundry did Control,
Okay.
and it looked really good actually. It was like
I could do that right now if I wanted to.
yeah, I guess you. Well, can you connect? Does your current PC connect easily to your CRT computer monitor?
It does actually. I was a little surprised because I didn't have the right adapter when I swapped my graphics card. That didn't have the right adapter to go like the DVI cable that I was using to hook it up because it's a VGA monitor, right? But you can just dongle your way from DVI to VGA. But I couldn't get it plugged in, and so I just plugged it in.
If I had a nickel for every time I dongled my way around.
That's my philosophy, man.
If you
dongle
can't, just dongle it.
Just dongle your way in.
So I just plugged it straight into my motherboard, which has a VGA port, and apparently that's fine. I didn't know you could have one monitor running off a graphics card and the other running off of a VGA in your motherboard, but it seems to work just fine.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't really understand how it works, but it is working.
I mean,
so
you're
I'm not-
using integrated graphics when you. I mean, obviously, like for something like that, it probably doesn't matter that much because you're running it at low enough spec that it wouldn't make a difference. But you're running off your integrated graphics card, not your actual graphics card. If you do that, so you might have problems if it's something that's like too demanding. But if you're running it in potato mode anyways, because you're doing it on a CRT, it's probably fine.
Can I just briefly interrupt to let you guys know that I'm the greatest of all time? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a long road. It's a journey, really.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds accurate.
You all right, bud?
Yeah, it's good. I played this morning. I had some bad games, so now I jumped into one, and it's going all right so far. Won the first team fight.
This game definitely does the Mario thing of just like feeding you a gazillion lives, though, because I feel like I've died a bunch of times and I'm like not even remotely close to needing to continue anytime soon.
Energy man, I don't need it.
Yeah, what is that thing supposed to be? Is that like a headless fish?
I don't know. I was trying to figure that out. Is it like a disembodied tentacle, or a headless fish, or like a giant leech? Maybe it's a giant leech.
Something from Dredge.
Yeah, right. You had finished that when we talked about it last week, right? You'd already finished it?
No, I
Or
haven't.
not yet? You haven't finished it. Okay. Mike, you finished it?
Mike finished
did.
it. Kurt had cleared it out. I think.
I cleared it out while we were on stream last week,
Yes.
also. So we both have completed our Fishopedias.
Is
I
that
don't
the
know, it's
official
relaxing.
name? Is it a Fishopedia?
It is an encyclopedia.
Okay. I was gonna say, please
But
tell
I
me
just
that they
didn't-
just called it. They went for it and called it a Fishopedia.
I kind of wish that there could be. I kind of wish that there was just more. I'd play some more of that game, but I don't know. I just enjoyed the loop on it, and I'm actually wondering if I might just fire up a new save and see how fast I can, churn through them fish.
Yeah.
Actually, what I've been playing the most of lately is that Great Ace Attorney, which
It's great.
got-
Checking that out.
View got really in. Yes, cranking and dongles, my two watchwords. But View got really into it, and so now I only play when she's around. And we've been having a very good time.
How far are
It's-
you?
We're halfway through the 4th case,
Okay.
so starting to get into the longer, more serious cases of the first game. So it definitely has like the same issues that all those games have. Like, there's a lot of talking, and it's fairly slow paced, especially when you're
A
not
lot
in
of
a trial.
restarting because you got a piece of evidence wrong.
I haven't had to do that yet, just because. Well, first of all, now there's 2 of us figuring the puzzles out, so it's going a little better on that front. We talk it over before we submit something, and usually we get it right. But also, like, you get 5 chances, and they don't hit you with like the super penalties until like the last case of each game, usually. So, overall, yeah, really good.
I was trying to think of what. So the first case is the tutorial in Japan. The
Yeah,
second one is on the boat.
and the second one is not even a case. That's what weird about the second one. Or it's not even a trial.
Right. You just have to convince that guy to let you go, kind of.
Well, the second one is basically to introduce you to Herlock Sholmes and
Right. The
the dance
investigation
of deduction.
mechanics. Yeah. Which is incredible.
Deduce, you say?
And then. Oh, it's the corrupt Irish guy, right? This is the third one.
Yes.
And then the fourth one is.
Who, I mean,
the-
spoiler
the-
alert, that guy gets burned alive.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, assuming that's him, but sure seems like somebody got burned alive.
That's not good. That's the thing about the Phoenix Wright games that I've always found kind of weird. They have this super casual tone, but then like really horrible shit happens to people in some of those games where it's just like it's like almost incongruous with the tone. Like I don't know if am I the only one who played? Oh no, Eric, I think you also played Leighton versus Wright. And like,
Yeah.
or Leighton meets Wright or whatever, and like, like the second case in that game, like a woman is like wrongly convicted and like slammed into an Iron Maiden and lit on fire, and I was like,
Whoa.
what the fuck, dude? Like,
That seems pretty hardcore for both of those series.
yeah, it's a lot.
That sounds like a
It was a
Danganronpa
lot.
case.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
All right, well, I'll make sure not to pull that one out if we're looking for another one to play.
I mean, it's fun though. I do like that one though because it does merge
that's
the
right.
styles of Like, it merges the styles of those two games really well in terms of like walking around with you walk around as Maya and Luke doing puzzles, like kind of instead of an investigation phase. Like
Oh,
you do
that's actually an
puzzles as
improvement.
Maya and Luke, and then you do the courtroom as Layton and Wright. And like you have to, there's like the weird thing about that one though is like multiple witnesses testify simultaneously.
Yeah,
That's in Great Ace Attorney also.
it is. Yep.
It's a little, I feel like it's a little different in, I don't remember, I guess. It's been a while since I fired up Layton and Wright, but I feel like it was a little different. Maybe not. I don't
But
know.
Leighton Wright is actually one of the ones that was made by Shu Takumi himself.
Yeah, in concert with someone from who'd worked on the Layton games, right?
Level 5.
Level 5, yeah, someone from Level 5. Speaking
Yeah,
of
I like
which,
that.
when does the
I
Ghost
did
Trick?
not
When
like
does
it
Ghost
as
Trick?
much as-
I mean, I guess I could play Ghost Trick on my DS whenever I want because I do still have a copy. But
I played it on my phone like 2 years ago.
I remember, I recall.
It was great.
But it's finally coming to Switch soon. Soonish.
Well, I'm happy for people who will be playing it on their Switch because it's an amazing game.
I hope it finds an audience enough for them to like consider letting Shu Takumi make another one of those because that
Tricking
game
some more
is
ghosts.
super good.
That game has, I mean, it takes a little while to get going, but the final act of Ghost Trick is just amazing.
Yeah, when you finally
100.
trick the ghost.
Oh, and they fall for it so bad.
It does, yeah. Oh, so much.
Dumbass ghost.
Hey, Eric, guess what happened?
You
got
tricked a
shot.
ghost.
No, one of our teammates just ran off by himself, and then me and another teammate got outnumbered. What a shot.
Huh.
It's funny how that works.
I can't
Describe that
believe
bro as a ram
I'm the
bro.
only one who died, too. Miss. Another dude got downed, but, like, you know. I guess the circle doesn't matter. We can just stay in it forever.
it.
He just ran off by himself again. I mean, the other dude's reviving me, and this dude's just, like, off by himself, like a fucking mile away.
He's got important work he needs to do, Alex. Don't you?
He's not reviving me.
Okay.
Okay. He's just gonna go run. He's about to run into a fight by himself.
Turns out, I'm sorry, I'm receiving a message here, Alex. It says, fuck you, buddy.
It's just it's fucking the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Same old shit.
So, I don't know. This stuff, again, like, if you're paying for multiplayer on Switch, it seems like, yeah, like,
Why
free
not?
is the right cost to just, like, fuck around to some of this stuff. But I do want to, like, just to take a gander here. Also, there was a big indie game sale. It might be over now, but I bought, like, 4 games today. I'm finally going to play Blaster Master Zero, and I'm finally going to play Panzer Paladin, because they were on
Oh, nice.
massive
I like Blaster
sale.
Master Zero.
Yeah, I also, like, the DLC characters were not on sale, so as enticing as it is to play a Shovel Knight and Blaster Master Zero, I thought I would figure out if I actually like Blaster Master Zero first.
I think you'd want to play the game normal before doing that anyway.
That's probably true.
It'd be good for a replay, probably. As far as I'm aware, Blaster Master Zero is the best Blaster Master game.
It's the best full... Okay, so I definitely don't have trouble believing that that's true, like, just in general. But it is also the best of the Blaster Master Zero trilogy, I guess it is now?
I haven't played them all. I just know that they get skeevier as they go on.
Gosh darn it, Japan. Alright, so we're gonna, just again to kind of make a point, I'm just gonna mess around with Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge and see kind of how Konami treats, like, Konami, see right there, right away, it's probably because I had it set this way before, but like, there's the dot matrix effect immediately, you know? Look at that. And even, like, the weird flicker, they got it right. Which, I mean, this is M2, so, like, obviously. But,
Back. There's only 2 squads left, so I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. I don't know how this game is super fucking weird. It went from 12 to 3 in, like, 2 seconds.
so, like, the fading of the image is, like, correct. And there's a section in this game that I don't remember which castle it's in off the top of my head. So, but there's like a weird effect where they try to make things look like they're kind of in the distance, and the way they pulled it off is it like flickers super fast. And it's one of those
look
things
more
where,
like a Game Boy game, but I don't know if it's an improvement.
well, I think we can. Here we go. Display settings. What a concept. Okay, so we can go to original.
You should put it on extra crispy instead.
So original is, you know, actual black and white, which is usually when I play on my like Game Boy player, I usually set it to the like true black and white filter. I know that's not how it looks in a real Game Boy, but that's just kind of how I like it, you know. Let's see.
Do you like it like that?
I do like it. I like it like that.
Is that what you
let's
like
see.
about you?
So pixel perfect, I guess, is just like square. I mean, original looks like it's also square pixels, but I'm sure the pixel perfect is probably integer scale, I guess, right? So, because yeah, it's the same size as dot
Yeah, in this kind of
matrix.
port, that's usually what that means.
Yeah, because it's the same size as the dot matrix one, just without the cross hatching. So, then we've got color filter, which I think color filter is I'm gonna guess this is Super Game Boy, not Game Boy Color. Like, this is, if you booted this game up on the Super Game Boy on the default color palette, this is how it would look. And we've got color filter, pixel perfect, and then, yeah, we've got a scan line option, which I hate fake scan lines, as I've said a million times, but, like, there you go. It's a Super Game Boy.
It's there if you want it.
It's there if you want it. And, like,
I do like putting scanlines on Game Boy games just because it makes no sense at all.
well, if you were playing on a Super Game Boy, that's how it, right?
I suppose.
You know.
On the Mister, I sometimes put scanlines on Game Boy Advance games just because they're so incredibly pixelated on a TV if you don't.
Yeah, I actually really like the way that it displays is like slightly weird, but playing GBA games on my PVM is actually like pretty neat. Looks interesting, but also like pretty rad.
Do they get boxed in, or is there some
They
sort of
do
weird
get boxed
scaling?
in. No, they get boxed in. It's pretty strange.
They don't have the right number of lines.
Right.
As great as CRTs handle resolutions, they do gotta have the right number of lines.
Yeah. Well, I like Swiss kind of handles that for me. Like I guess if I didn't have Swiss running, I don't know what would happen if I just like went straight from the because I also use Swiss because it's a PAL GameCube, so I use Swiss to force it to 60 frames per second. Otherwise, or 60 hertz. Otherwise, it would do 50 because it's PAL, and that would not work with my PVM.
So does that mean that okay, so you got a PAL GameCube with the GameCube Game Boy player stuck underneath it, correct?
The Game
Am I
Boy
right about that?
player is not region.
Right, but you have a
there's no-
PAL GameCube with a regular Game Boy player underneath it, right?
Yes.
And so you're using that to play your Game Boy cartridges. So the Game Boy games probably didn't run at 50 hertz in Europe, did they?
No, I
They're the
don't
same,
think so.
aren't
I don't. I assume they're the
assume they're
same.
the
I
same,
assume they're
yeah.
the same. So I have
So
actually
the Game Boy player slow them down?
the GameCube itself is what is slowing them down, to my understanding. Like, it's not the Game Boy. The Game Boy player isn't slowing them down, but the GameCube is outputting it at 50 hertz. So,
Now, so is the game running slower, or is it just you're not seeing all the frames?
well, I assume it's running slower because that's usually what happens, right? But again, since I use Swiss to run it, to run the Game Boy interface, like, it's doing it correctly because I'm one of those weirdos. But I think if you, I mean, I don't have to hit someone up from Europe and ask them, I guess, or try to look it up. But my suspicion is that, yeah, it just plays the game slower. Like when you know, sort of like when you boot an NTSC cart on a PAL system from the old days, like the game runs whatever 12% slower or whatever it is.
I recently had an experience experience with that because I decided to finally play for the first time that new Ghostbusters 2 game. And I fired up the PAL version and then thought for a second, I was like, wait a second.
It was Japanese version.
Put on the Japanese
yeah,
version
use the
instead.
Famicom version.
They did fix the music. The PAL versions, the music sounds the same, even though the game is playing slower.
No, that was nice then. Priorities.
Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. Well, they got a good soundtrack, so they might as well.
Also, I feel like at the end of that game, it's kind of hard. Like the last, since you only get limited continues, like the end of that game is not the easiest thing. So maybe it being a little bit slower wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Or maybe it would feel like you're playing the game in mud. Maybe.
And the whole game is kind of hard, IMO, but
Yeah.
Considered getting good.
But like,
I did, Alex. I got good by using save it states.
yeah. But I feel like
Getting, eating. There's a lot of chat.
really,
There's a lot.
I haven't been watching it because like it's so rare that anybody.
I started playing Apex.
Well, catch us up, Alex. Who's chatting?
This is Star Force Geo person. Alright, first question for Joe.
That's me.
Is Joey Pink excited for Ultra Pro Wrestling? It's made by one guy who loves No Mercy so much, they tried to make it all from scratch and improve it.
Yeah, I backed it on Kickstarter actually. So
Okay.
the answer is yes.
Jason didn't go to hell, he went to Mario Land, which is, I assume when you were talking about the knife. It is
Right.
Nintendo can't even figure out how to make a new F-Zero, which is probably when we were shit-talking Nintendo, because yeah, they can't make a new F-Zero, or Star Fox, or barely even a Luigi's Mansion. They just, I don't know.
I mean, Luigi. There's been 2 new Luigi's Mansions since there's last been a new
Yeah, and they
F-Zero.
were like not...
And
well,
also, maybe since there's been a new Star Fox... When did Star Fox Zero come out? When did Luigi's Mansion 2 come
that
out?
game doesn't exist, Joe. Fuck you. We don't talk about that. Just like all the other ones. Still waiting for Code Veronica X Remake, which is we kind of talked about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but...
I
Fear what
let's
artists
do it.
will do to Alexia
Freaking weird.
Ashford's zombie platform. I don't remember what that is, but I assume it has boobs.
Yeah. She's, I mean, technically naked, I guess, but I don't, like... In an M-rated game at this point, like, that doesn't matter. Marguerite has a fucking, like, bug vagina, so, like, whatever, like... That was a little more enthusiastic than I would have hoped for her.
Yeah, we'll go back and play Resident Evil 7.
Don't kink shame. Don't kink shame. Let's see. Something about PSN port. I don't know what that means.
PSN
But,
port of what?
I don't know. It says, am I perfectly okay with the PS2 and ports? Sorry. I don't know what that means, and this is probably old, so I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't remember what we would have been talking about. That would have been germane. If you're still hanging out in the chat, clarify that question, and we'll answer it.
Pressing down and jump makes you spin like Mario World, which yeah, I forgot to tell you, but that
Yeah.
you can do that.
Yes, I had already figured that out by
Probably-
the time you were here.
Probably means the Resident Evil Code Veronica PS2 port. That's what I'm guessing.
No, I mean it's fine. I mean I feel like that game isn't very good. Like it's fine. The last time I went back and played it was a couple Halloweens ago, and I was like, yeah, But you know, I mean, I think that game really need like. So first of all, it's weird that minor spoilers, I guess, for the 4 remake. Like they don't really give Wesker like any context whatsoever, and it's sort of extra weird because the last string of games that like modern audiences are most familiar with are 7, which has nothing to do with Umbrella, 8, which has almost nothing to do with Umbrella, the 2 and 3 remakes, which Wesker is not in at all. And then now 4, which now has Wesker at the end, but they don't explain who he is or why he's there or what his deal is at all.
Resident Evil 4? Yeah, I think it maybe wasn't until the
Right.
PS2.
That's what I'm. No, he was always in it, but that was also like close enough proximity to Code Veronica and whatnot that you. And then 5 came out right after that, where Wesker's like the main bad guy. So you're like, okay, I know who this is. I'm saying that now. We haven't seen Wesker in a Resident Evil game since Resident Evil 5, which came out in 2009.
It's because he died.
Yes, I understand that, but like,
God damn it, Joe. Now I'm imagining that first NPC from Elden Ring saying like, I see you are Weskerless.
So, like, I feel like if they're gonna, so I've said before, I don't think they should remake 5. But if they're gonna remake 5, I almost feel like if you want to give context to Wesker, you kind of have to remake Code Veronica, or maybe they'll remake 1 again. I don't fucking know. Who knows? I'm more interested in what is gonna happen with Resident Evil 9 than anything.
We'll see. They got plenty of stuff to do.
They have plenty of stuff to do. That is accurate. That is accurate.
What is it? The thing that's cool about Wesker is kind of not really anything.
His sunglasses?
Wesker's,
Sunglasses, yeah.
Wesker's like not like I don't know.
The fact
people
that the
talk
only
about-
way to kill him is to shoot missiles into his eyes and then punch him into a volcano. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
His love of
excuse me,
combat data.
Excuse me, you punch a boulder first, okay?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
boulder erasure, and I
Sure.
will not stand for it.
Speaking of which, Mike,
Hella funny.
Mike, how far are you in Resident Evil 8?
Not much farther than when we last talked. But first, I just want to say, find someone who looks at you the way Albert Wesker looks at combat data. No, I have defeated the 3 daughters of Lady D, and that's about it. As I'm making my way up onto the castle roof. Last time I checked.
Oh, you
But,
played Bloodborne finally?
That's a
Then you
cool place
played,
to be.
So
Bloodborne.
Glorious.
that means that you.
You said Castle Roof. That's
Nobody's
just like what I thought.
nobody's playing Bloodborne, Alex. Let
Fuck
it go.
you. Fuck all of you guys. It's good.
So, Mike, that means you haven't heard the Boulder reference yet. So,
There's a boulder reference in that area.
no, it's not in that area, but it is in Resident Evil 8.
Oh, it's later in the game.
It's later
Okay.
in the game.
I mean, I know. I mean, is it when Chris shows up next? Is he gonna?
It's not when he shows up next. And no, actually, he doesn't mention it.
Oh, I have a vague memory. I mean, I
doesn't
definitely
mention it.
heard
Somebody-
a lot of the jokes from Village before I played it. So yeah, I was like boulder punching motherfucker or something like that. I don't
Boulder
remember what he
punching asshole.
said. Oh yeah. Which fair,
That
you know,
boulder punching asshole.
all those things. But
Star Force,
I fucking
clarify.
laughed out loud at the part where you go to hit the switch and then.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm
then
gonna
cut
be
your arm
off. I'm gonna be out of the view of the cam for just a second, but I will still be here, so you can keep talking. But I actually want to see how Digital Eclipse handled. I know I did play some of the Cowabunga collection, but I'm gonna throw that back in and see how they handle the Game Boy stuff since we're doing this.
Okay. What was the joke you liked, Mike?
Just it wasn't even a joke, really. It's just when you go to hit that big switch in the dungeon, and all of a sudden Lady D cuts your arm off.
Oh yeah.
I laughed out loud when that happened. Poor Ethan and his fucking fucked up arms.
And then you have to carry around your hand, and you can't
While
use
you
any
play hide
stuff.
and seek with Lady D for a little while.
Somebody at Capcom's got a hand mutilation fetish, which is very weird, but you know.
And now the rest of us do.
No.
And like then you go up to the top and he says something like, "I hate this fucking place." I don't remember what he says exactly.
And then he just sticks it back on and pours some magic healing juice on it, and
That game is
It doesn't
incredible.
say anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
so you're telling me, Joe, that at this point he's not supposed to know he's a mold man?
he has no idea. Spoilers: he has no idea he's a mold man.
Is that just because he's a dumbass? Because he just stuck his arm back on with like Bacta or whatever the hell.
I mean, you
Vaccine, I
know,
should
sometimes
say.
When changes happen, you just don't really notice, you know?
yeah.
You get so wrapped up in your day-to-day life that when you become an immortal mold man, you just don't really realize it all the time.
My arm came up, but I poured rubbing alcohol in it, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I poured magic herbal healing juice on it,
Or you mean like weed?
and now it's
Herbal
all.
juice?
Yes, that's exactly what
I
I
want to
mean.
get me some of that herb.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
White,
Star Force
blue,
Geo
white,
wants to know if
nice.
anyone bought the Samurai Showdown Neo Geo collection.
Nope,
I
got a
it for
mystery.
free
Yeah,
on
I got it for free on Epic.
Epic, and I never booted it up.
Oh, I
even
might have done
once.
that too.
I booted it up
Because
once. I booted it up long enough to just like check out 6 special, right? That's what it is.
5 special, dude.
Or
6
5
is
special.
trash.
Yeah, 6 is the one that was on a Thomas Wave, right? So it's 5
Yeah.
final or whatever, 5
5
special final.
special is Sam Show 5 special. Yeah.
And I remember I had seen that people had extracted the ROM from that collection, and I tried to get it working on my my Neo
Your
Geo
Dreamcast
flash
version.
cart,
Oh,
but
Neo Geo, sorry.
But it was weird. I couldn't get it in the right format. But now I feel like I should be able to get it on my multi MVS. I should be able to make it work. But yeah, it was free on Epic like immediately, wasn't it? Like the week it came out or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I downloaded it because I like Sam's show, but then I already owned 5 Special on Steam, so it's like whatever.
Well, no, then it wasn't 5 Special. It was what was the one that was like location tested and never actually released? It's like another version of 5. It's like 5 Final or something.
Oh, well,
Star Force Geo says that they like 6 personally.
Well,
I don't know. I don't have an
we all
opinion
make mistakes.
I think actually 2 is my favorite of those. I think
2
Sam
is good.
showed
2 and 5 are like quote
I
unquote.
thought 2 is everyone's favorite.
Ones.
I mean, a lot of
I've
people
actually
seem to
never
like
even played
5,
6.
so
5 is fucking good. 5 is good as hell.
5
that
is
game's
good.
That game's great, actually. I'll say. I'll go that far.
Well, that was why people were stoked about this like unreleased version of 5 that was thought to be lost. You know. But,
yeah, that's neat. I don't know if I knew that.
yeah.
That
Star Force Geo says be perfect. It's just Special 5.
Special 5 perfect. Yeah, 5 perfect. Didn't they add new like death moves and like there's like some balance changes as well? I thought.
There were definitely some of the like fatalities were taken out. In the, like,
Right, because there was like a notoriously like a famous stabbing or something that happened in Japan.
I don't remember what they were, but okay, I see what you're saying now.
Right at that time.
I don't
like,
remember what they took out, but
okay, that's a rewind. There we go. All right, so let's see here. What can we do? Oh God, we can play it stretched to 16:9.
I think I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah, TV filter, monitor, LCD.
What
So there's an LCD filter here.
I believe Chris Kohler, who worked on this collection, tweeted that was the first thing his wife did was set it to 16:9.
Ugh. And then we can do the Game Boy Color palette. So there's off. I don't know what. Okay, well, let's do Game Boy. Okay, that makes it gray or gray-green, right? And then Game Boy Player, as I guess what that probably is. Although that looks weird with the dot matrix thing. And then GBL, Game Boy Light, because that was black. That was the black. That was mostly black and white, right? Oh yeah, that lightens up the color for sure, actually. Okay, so again, third parties out here doing a much better job than Nintendo. Like,
I mean, they are doing a job. So. Let's see. Star Force Geo says, "Did you guys know the Wii collection removed flashing to prevent seizures?" I mean, that's okay.
Is that an option or is it forced? Oh, on the Wii, it's probably just forced.
Probably.
Which one? The Wii collection for what?
That and the PlayStation 2 version, the only way to play Sam Show 6. Talking about the PlayStation Showdown.
Actually, if you get an NES Classic and you don't hack it, any game that has flashing has this super psychedelic effect.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden
where the
is
screen switches around.
right. That's like the big one for Ninja Gaiden, right? Because they were worried about that when you die, when you game over in Ninja Gaiden, and so yeah, it doesn't look like a real NES game because a real NES couldn't display that many colors on screen at once, but it does the swirling.
It looks like you're on drugs.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
A great game with the Wingman.
I don't know why you would get one of those things and not hack it, but just PSA, you can fix that if you hack cheat at NES Classic.
Right. But also, if you have anybody in your house who's like epileptic or prone to that stuff, like don't fix it, quote unquote fix it. I mean, I get that stuff, right? Like, I totally understand why they would want to not have that.
Yeah, but it would be nice if it was an option and they could, ask you when you boot the thing up for the first time. Flash, yes or no?
Yeah, I think probably their concern is that like a kid who doesn't know better would, you know what I mean?
Off by default, you can turn it on.
Yeah, you can like you could manually go in and turn it on if you.
Star Force Gia says Resident 5 did Jill dirty. I hate that redesign.
You don't like Midlife Crisis, Jill?
I mean,
It's all like evil now.
she's like
She
sexed
bleached
up
her
and
hair.
nasty.
She's wearing a leather cat suit.
Yeah,
Got a
I
gem
It's
implanted
fine,
in her
though. I'd say
chest.
that's probably fine, but
yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
sorry.
a little too shiny for leather.
yeah, I
I don't
don't
know.
like
Yeah,
that version of Jill, but
No, I mean it looks a little bit more like old Jill than the Chris one does old Chris. I mean that doesn't make it good, but
I get what you're saying.
you know what I mean? Like that seems like a more viable version of that character. Or not viable, but more authentic,
Plausible?
I guess. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, was there, Alex?
I'm pretty sure there was, but it's not
No?
worth.
I really like the Jill redesign in the 3 remake.
3 remake is...
I like the way
that's-
she looks in that quite a bit. I think, especially at the beginning of the game when she's having the flashbacks.
Yeah.
It seems like one of the things they might be doing with all these remakes is like unifying the art across the
Yeah.
different games. So, I'm generally speaking a fan of how all those characters look. Like the way Leon evolved from 2 to 4 kind of makes sense.
It took me a little while to get used to remakes Claire, but I got over it.
I was gonna say that's the one exception for me is the remakes Claire, which is
Well, just the nice thing about that game is that you can just, put the original PlayStation, like, blocky
Yeah, you can
polygon
do that.
model.
Fuck.
it's true. That's an option. It's not bad, but she just has a weird big like baby face. She looks like a big weird baby. I thought that from the very
Scary
first trailer.
games.
You know, there's a mod
thought
for
that from the
Resident
very
Evil
first
8 where you
trailer,
can
but-
actually literally make Chris into a big baby, right?
Sure. Yeah, good.
You can put the baby, you can put
You can make
Rose's
anybody the
face
baby,
on, yeah, right.
You can, yeah.
Give Mr. X a thong and not much else.
I mean, yes, there's a Beach Babe mod for Resident Evil 2 that puts Leon and Mr. X in like thong speedos.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems with me for like Resident Evil 8 is that it's just very hard to work into my lifestyle. Because I have to basically have the place to myself in order to play that game. Unless
Yeah.
I guess I could get some headphones or something, but it's not how I roll.
I mean, those games are, I feel like they're best enjoyed with headphones. I play most of Resident Evil games with headphones on, regardless.
I know, but as a parent, it behooves me to have some idea what's happening in the outside world.
Fair. Just play it after the lad's gone to bed, you know?
Yeah, you know what time he falls asleep?
No, I don't.
Hint, I don't think he's asleep yet.
Okay, well. And here you are with headphones on, so what now, Mike?
I know. I'm not entirely coherent.
We're a bad influence.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's obvious. Anyways, I think I'm gonna call it a stream because the Bucks are playing in like a winner go home playoff game, and it's in the second half. And also, I've played
that
all the
going?
Game Boy games that I think I can handle for one night.
Oh my god, I'm having the game of my fucking life. Sorry.
Pathetic if they lose that game, man.
Dude,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They
They
were
were
gonna have to
winning
at least
at
fire-
going into
they will at least
halftime.
have
They
to
were
fire
winning.
the coach. They're up by 10 right now.
They're up by.
But- I mean, they should not have lost that series even without Giannis for a couple games. So
Yeah, but then they lost one with Giannis, and so that wasn't good. I mean, Jimmy Butler also had the game of his life, which he's not going to have the game of his life 2 games in a row, or 3 games out of 4 or whatever. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm going to call it a stream for this week because that's all the dot matrix in my eyeballs can take. But just, for the record, everybody else is doing a better job of this Game Boy stuff than Nintendo themselves, but also the Nintendo stuff is free if you're paying for Switch Online anyways, so I guess whatever. It's fine.
The price is right.
The price is right. I mean, it's not free. It's included in the. But like, if you like me are mainly paying for Switch Online so that you have the option of playing games online with people, like your nephews or whatever. In my, specifically in my case, then like the all that stuff is just included, and the NES emulation is actually pretty good. That stuff. I mean, it still doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the community works have with different color palettes and stuff like that. Like,
not everyone has a portable solution to play retro games.
Right, exactly.
I don't think I really have one aside from,
your Switch.
This.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't have like a.
I didn't get one of those analog what's-its yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. I've heard a lot of good things about some of those. Anbernic, is that they're like a Chinese company that actually they basically like it's like an Android handheld with RetroArch like loaded onto it, and apparently those are supposed to be pretty good and will do a pretty good job with everything up through like PlayStation and N64. Corey at My Life in Gaming just did it. They sent him one and he just did a video about it and was like, but those are kind of expensive. I guess there are cheaper ones that probably don't do emulation as well, but like if you really want a thing like that. Also, like a lot of the Game Boy Advance flash carts now, like if you were to do like a rebuild on a GBA, like a lot of the flash carts have like NES, Super NES emulators like built in to just like GBA flash cart. So I don't know, who knows, but yeah, there's a lot of options if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But yeah, if you just have a Switch, then it's a good. Also, I mean, we can complain until the cows come home, but like the library is extremely thin. And looking at the like, if I go back to it, I guess before I sign off, like how many games are there? Like 10. Which the Game Boy library is huge, and as Eric said early on in the stream, like a lot of it is really, really bad. Like it's not a very good library overall, but there's more than 11 good games for it, and some of the ones on here aren't that good. So.
Well, there's more than 11 games.
No, there's not. I'm looking at them right now. Burger Time Deluxe, Gargoyle's Quest, Kirby 1 and 2, Metroid 2, Mario Land 2, Tetris, Alone in the Dark, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Zelda, and Wario Land 3. That is all the Game Boy games.
They might be able to sell those Tetris games. So, Star Force Geo says one last thing: is it bad that my sister's kids think that Sweet Tooth is cool?
It depends on which version of Sweet Tooth, but like, an ice cream truck that shoots explosives is cool in my opinion.
Well, that TV show is coming soon,
Samoa
right?
Joe is playing Sweet Tooth in that TV show. So now the chant "Joe's gonna kill you" is no longer hyperbole.
Who cares about Twisted Metal in 2023?
It's so weird, right? But honestly, I just hope it means we get like another game that's good, maybe. That would be nice. There's some good games in that series. The most recent one is not bad, but like the servers are down now, so you can only play it by yourself, which makes it a lot less enjoyable, right? So I don't know, but yeah, it is really baffling that somebody dumped a whole bunch of money into a big budget TV show adaptation of Twisted Metal in 2023. That's weird. I don't know why they did that, but. I mean, also somebody
scramble to scoop up properties and spend a ton of money making TV shows, and that one was one of the last ones that got the big paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just like they looked, whoever is doing it, which I don't remember who's doing it, like looked at Castlevania and was like, yeah, nobody cared about Castlevania.
So that would make sense.
For however many years. Like, when was the last... So Castlevania... Castlevania
also,
anime
Castlevania probably didn't cost that much to make.
No, that's true, because it's an anime, so it probably costs less than a big budget live action thing. But nobody... I mean, so one, that show is an adaptation of Castlevania 3. But even, like... For now, right? But even if you like go back, right? Like, I mean, when did Lords of Shadow 2 come out? Like, when was the last new Castlevania game before that show? It was a while ago, right? It was years.
What was the 3DS one?
Mirror of
Lords
Fate.
Shadow. Yeah, was that the last one?
I don't remember if that came out before, like right before Lords of Shadow 2, or like narrowly after.
I believe that was Castlevania Lord of Slowdown.
Yeah, right. And there's an HD version of it though on some console, or like HP on Xbox Live or something, or PS3 or something, right? I thought. I've heard that. I've never played that game. I heard it was not good. So I sat that one out, and I sat out Lords of Shadow 2 actually.
Maybe it was Lords of Shadow 2. Looks like maybe it was the last.
Because that came out after
What
Harmony
that
of
was, like, early-
Despair, right? That was it. Wasn't the last one wasn't
Way
Harmony of
after.
Despair, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Harmony of
no,
Despair
Lords of
is-
Shadow was like 2 was in like 2014.
Okay.
Looks like, and then Mirror of Fate was 2013.
Yeah.
So
It's been 9 years since the Castlevania game was released.
Unless you count Dead Cells,
Yes. Wow.
which I think I strongly suspect that whether it's going to be like the week that E3 was supposed to be or at Gamescom or something, I think we're due for a new Castlevania game, and I think it's going to be done by someone who isn't Konami internal. I think it's going to be
I mean, does
Motion
Konami
Twin
have a
or
game studio anymore?
I mean, technically yes, but like the last game that came out of it, I think, was that horrible Contra thing. But I heard
Right.
that
And then before that, it was that awful Metal Gear Survive.
yeah, Metal Gear
game.
Survive. But I heard that some indie studio did an update to it was kind of like a Castlevania, but it's like a Japanese horror thing. It didn't come out in the US, but characters from it were in
I mean, they did just announce that they were
Castlevania
putting out
Harmony of
a
Despair.
shitload of Silent Hill related things.
Oh yeah.
Lost.
Good job by you.
Our teammates picked a stupid fight. I had 9 kills and 10 knockdowns. And
Looks like
15
they're still putting out like a bunch of like there's
Ah.
Beat Mania game and a
Oh,
Ju Beat
yeah.
game just came out last year. so
Getsu
they're still-
Fumaden, that's the one. So there was I heard that was like pretty okay, and that was just they just handed it off to
Mahjong
somebody
Fight
else.
Club, Dance Dance Revolution, Bosu Shinki, Poppin' Music. So they're still putting out all that stuff, and those are real video
Yeah.
games. But
Yeah,
Baseball Collection Season 2021.
But
I
I-
don't know what that is.
probably if you have a team that's been making like poppin' music or Jubeat or whatever, like rhythm games for however long, they're probably
Bomber
very good at
Girl
just...
came out in 2018.
Oh, actually, I thought that they're making a sequel to Super Bomberman R. That was like a Switch launch title, right? And they're making another one of those. I just saw, but I don't know if that's
Is that
like
the racing type
X...
Bomberman?
Yeah, right. No, it was just a bomber. It was just more Bomberman on Switch for full price, which seemed weird at the time, but whatever, I guess. It was weird at the beginning of the Switch to see that the major publishers who seem to have like lost faith in Nintendo, right? Like Konami did a Bomberman game, and Capcom did like the final word on Super Turbo HD, which was already like a almost 10-year-old game at the time, and they just like added Violent Ken and put it on Switch.
Shoryukens.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
No, that was the 3DS one, Mike, that you're thinking of, that had first-person Shoryukens. That was Street Fighter 4 3D edition that had first-person Shoryukens.
Super
I thought you used the
Bomberman
Switch remote to
R2
do the motion
is
controls.
supposed to come out this year. Also, they're credited with
maybe.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. No,
Who is credited?
Konami is.
Oh, because they made
Yeah.
the original games that are on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's pretty dire. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I think if
I hope,
like
I
if
hope at least if we can get at least one of those Silent Hill games is good, then
I'm
I'll be
much
happy
more
with it.
interested in the one that isn't a remake of 2 from Bloober Team. What was the one?
That's at the bottom of the list. My
Yeah,
friend.
there was one, the weird one that looks like it actually takes place in Japan.
F-sharp
The
or
F sharp,
whatever.
yes, yeah,
Forte.
yeah.
Silent Hill Forte.
Yeah, that sounds correct. It was a weird name, but that was the one that I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
Right. Well, that's made by like a person, like a well-known horror visual
Right.
novel writer.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like
that's right.
is handling the story and the concept for that. So.
Yeah. So I mean, look, if Konami is going to just decide that like they're going to exploit their IP by giving it to people who know what they're doing and are passionate about it, I'm all
Yeah,
for
let's
that.
do it.
Like if like some people are like, oh, like the Dead Cells thing was like them testing Motion Twin, and they're going to give Motion Twin like they're gonna make a brand new Castlevania game, like go for it. I let Motion Twin make a brand new Castlevania game. I'm all for it. Dead Cells is great. The Castlevania DLC for Dead Cells is great. I would love to see what Motion Twin does with like a totally new Castlevania game from the ground up. Let's see.
I'd love to see them make anything other than Dead Cells. Dead Cells is great, but they've been making that game for a long time.
I mean, they
Didn't they split the studio?
Did they?
So,
Yeah.
like, one team could make Dead
Yeah.
Cells and another team could make something else.
Yeah. I mean, you know what?
I believe so.
Like,
Yeah, like there was some people that like were just like, this thing could be a cash cow. We want to keep making it. And then there were other people like, we want to make something else. And then they like split. There's like a different studio that has a lot of
Evil
the,
Empire or something like that.
yeah, the game design people left or formed another studio, and then I think it literally was like the marketing person or whatever
that's wild.
kept building Dead Cells, which
The money
I mean,
people.
It's worked out. Yeah.
Those I was
They made
telling
it
Mike
good.
the other day, like those people are that studio was formed from the remnants of the people who made fucking Nightmare Creatures for PlayStation.
Uh-huh.
Like so weird. But man, we did all this talking, and I'm going to take off. But we didn't even mention that
Milwaukee's up
Sega
16
unionized.
now, so.
Nice. We didn't mention that Sega unionized this week.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And there was an article from HardDrive.net that said Sega unionizes because employees were exposed to too much Sonic Yaoi fan fiction.
That's what actually happened. That's just the real.
That's just the real true
And
story.
the Knicks won. The Knicks made it out of the first series, the first round of the playoffs.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
I don't think I expected
Oh.
that.
A little. I mean, Cleveland was better this year, but they're also basically all first and second year players outside of their space there.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell or not? Yeah, it's Donovan Mitchell. Oh boy. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell.
Good old Donnie. Yeah, we all
Well,
know.
I can't remember people's names, but yeah, that outside of him, it's like most of their starters are 2 or
Babies.
3 year players,
Yeah.
Little babies.
and they've never
little
really
baby
been in the playoffs. They've just always been a punching bag for the last few years. So
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna leave everybody with the Japanese cover for Burger Time Deluxe and the freaky tongue sticking out of the burger that is enamored with its own
Well-
deliciousness. And we'll be back next week with
More burger time.
something else. I don't know. I'm
Songs of Conquest, and then that weird AI.
Portopia
thing
serial
that's
murder
put
thing.
out.
Is that? Oh, sorry. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was an AI thing.
Well,
This is
The
Square
parser
Enix
is
thing.
AI.
it's the idea behind that is that is a like an ancient text-based adventure game. where
Right.
you-
That.
it's
Yeah.
like
I
literally
know what
word
Portopia
next
serial
to
murder.
stuff.
Yeah. I know
Right,
what
and
that
so
is.
so the idea is that they have like this AI text parser interpreter thing so you can type in so that way it's a little less strict in how it takes your commands, so you can just like type things in and it's supposed to interpret those things and like
Well, Mike was
spit it
saying you can talk to it.
in a way that makes sense, right? Well, that's the thing that takes a lot of CPU and GPU power is that it has like a voice synthesis thing that I don't understand why that stuff takes. Is you need a 4080 to run it on the high. But we'll mess with it.
I would say we have
It doesn't
to.
seem like there's a lot there.
It's also
but
apparently a hot mess.
Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently, it's not good, right? So we definitely
Right.
have to.
when you say we have this technology bolted onto a 40-plus
40-year-old
year old text-based adventure game,
Uh-huh.
but you need a 4080 to run it on the high settings, like something
And,
fucked up
and it
is
still
going on.
doesn't work.
And it still doesn't work right. Yeah, that's amazing. It's A
So
plus.
We'll
A plus.
do with this $1,200 graphics card what it was always meant to do, and
talk our
that
way
is
through a
experiment with
40-year-old
Square
text
Enix's
adventure game.
fucked up alpha tech demo bullshit.
Can your 4080 run IMUs, Eric?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
next
right.
week.
All right. Good night, everybody. I'm sending the stream with that. That's our cliffhanger for next week, everybody. Get ready for the Portopio serial murder disaster next week
Yeah.
on the stream. Night, everyone.